Hey, what's up everybody? In this video, I'm going to cover how I get brand direct deals and how I get brands to sell to me as an Amazon seller when 99% of the time the default response is we don't sell to Amazon sellers. So let's get right into it. The first thing you got to understand is that over the past few years, most brands and most distributors or even wholesalers have grown a callous towards dealing with Amazon sellers. And this is because they get bombarded by thousands of emails by a lot of amateurs, tire kickers, and weekend warriors that want to open up wholesale accounts in order to start their Amazon business. But the reality for most of these people is that that business will never go anywhere. So in the end, it just generates administrative churn for a lot of companies, lost resources, wasted time, and ultimately no purchases being made. A lot of these amateur Amazon sellers have no idea what they're doing, and they're going to place orders, and in the end they're not going to be able to pay for the orders, or they're going to go out of business pretty quickly when they come to realize that selling on Amazon actually takes real work. So as a defense mechanism, the gatekeepers will usually just say, no, we don't deal with Amazon sellers, or no, we already have enough Amazon sellers. So how do we get around that? Let me show you. We're going to be using a sophisticated piece of software called Smartscout. Now, Smartscout is a great piece of software that allows you to pull a large number of variables from Amazon's information database system called the API. And what this is going to do is it's going to give us every piece of information that we need to make an informed decision about items being sold on Amazon. But what we're going to do, we're actually going to use the tool to pull information about items that are not doing well on Amazon. And what this is going to allow us to do is it's going to allow us to create a report on a brand or a specific line of products that are underperforming on Amazon. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that right now. The first thing I'm going to do is go into Smartscout. After I've logged in, I'm going to click on brands. Really that simple. This is going to give me a nice database of every brand that is on the platform. And you can see there's 663,287 brands on here. This is going to give me a nice database. It's going to show me all of the brands that are currently listed on Amazon in order. And it's going to show me a lot of details about them, including their revenue, the number of sellers on it, a lot of information. And you can see there's 663,287 brands as of right now on Amazon's database. Now, what we're going to do with this information is we don't want to focus on the winners, right? Because that's what everybody wants to do or everybody tends to do. But guess what? Those winners already have a very vast distribution network and system. And there's really little that you can do to help them improve their brand on Amazon. Their brand already rocks. And what you need to do is focus on some of the brands that are doing poorly. And what we're going to do is we're going to open a wedge in the relationship that those brands have with their current vendors or the current people that are purchasing those items to sell on Amazon, or the current distribution network that they have, or perhaps even the way that they've listed the items themselves, because you got to remember, a lot of these companies don't have very good experience on Amazon. So what you're going to do is we're going to create a report. We're going to be able to have a lot of information in order to create a narrative that will drive a wedge between their current existing way of doing business on Amazon, whether it's through a different partner or whether they're doing it themselves through an internal team. We're going to drive a wedge that's going to allow you to get in there just a little bit and maybe sell a few items to demonstrate the worth that you can add by improving the listing. And I'm going to show you exactly how to build that narrative. So check it out. All right. So Smartscout has a series of filters, and the first thing that we want to look at is, we're going to avoid the brand names because we don't necessarily need to know the name of the brand that we're looking for. We're going to go into it looking at the numbers. And what we're going to do is we're going to look for items that have at least 3 sellers on them, because this will automatically discard any private label items that are on the listing. It may also discard some of the brands that have, a sole distributor or a sole seller on Amazon, but that's okay. For now, we're just going to stick to an average number of 3 sellers. And, we want to look at stuff that has at least a revenue of $1,000 per ASIN, okay? Because we don't really want to waste our time trying to secure items that are only going to sell $50 a month. $1,000 is a nice number, so we're going to go with that. And, we're going to go with a fairly new product on Amazon or a product that hasn't picked up a lot of reviews. And this is important because if an item already has tens of thousands of reviews, it means it's already vastly popular, because each review is roughly going to translate to about 100 purchases. So let's try to go with something that has a total number of reviews of up to 200. So it's a fairly unreviewed product. Let's talk about the number of sellers relative to the number of FBA sellers. If you notice that there's a listing with a lot more FBM sellers and less FBA sellers, that could also indicate an opportunity. So let's pretend for a second that there's a maximum of 2 FBA sellers and there's actually 7 sellers on the listing. That tells me that the FBA network is being underutilized. Now, there's different things that could be driving this. Maybe it just makes more cost effectiveness to ship by FBM, but you got to think, what about the user experience? What about those customers that want the products in a guaranteed 2-day timeline? And although you may make a little bit less money, it may actually help improve the listing. So let's take a look at items that may fit within this category, where there is an opportunity to grow the brand and grow the number of sales by using FBA. Because remember, once you secure that deal with the brand, you can always go back to FBMing it. You just need to demonstrate that you can drive more sales than your competition. And that's that wedge that we were talking about. So let's check that out. So we're going to pull this information out right now, and it's going to load thousands of items. So we went from, 600,000 brands down to 1,500 brands, okay? The next thing that we're going to look at is the opportunity score, okay? So what does that mean? Smartscout has created a brand score, and what this means is it's taking several variables from Amazon's database. It's taking the number of pictures that are on the listing. Think about it, like a great listing might have 12 product images, including lifestyle photos, infographics. It's going to have A1 brand content, which is like, professionally designed content on a special template that Amazon provides that only top brands get. If a brand has a really high score, it means they have all of those things. So for example, Trending Tree Essentials has a great brand score. What we want to focus on are brands that have a really poor brand score. So anything below a 4. So let's just use this filter here and put anything under a 4. So now we've got 6,000 brands, and some of these have a great opportunity because you can dramatically improve this listing. So for example, this brand right here, if we were to expand to see what other types of products they sell and some general information about the brand, we could just click here on dashboard, and it's going to tell us that this brand is currently doing $138,000 a month on Amazon with an average selling price of $357. Pretty interesting stuff, right? Like, it tells you what the market share is. We have the brand score. We see that the reviews are really good for this product, and that there's only 1.3 FBA sellers for every almost 7.5 FBM or fulfilled by merchant. Now, what the problem with this one is that the Amazon in-stock rate is 99%. So what we want to do is we want to go back and filter out items that have a very high in-stock rate. So now you can start seeing how this tool can be very useful. I'm going to add an in-stock rate here of a maximum of 30%, just to make sure that whatever items that we're looking for are not in stock consistently at Amazon. And what we want to make sure is that we pick brands that have a really kind of crummy brand score. So again, we want to make sure that the maximum score they can get is 4 or even a 3. Let's go with 3. The other variable that we want to add in here is the number of sellers, right? So we talked about, a disproportionate amount of sellers in the average amount of sellers. So we're going to say 7 minimum FBM sellers, but maybe there's only 2 or 3 FBA sellers, and this is going to be an indication that the FBA network is being underutilized. So remember, we started off with over 600,000 brands in our initial database, and now we're down to 6,000. And the in-stock rate, again, sorry, this got reset. We're going to reduce it down to a maximum of 30%. Very good. So now we've got 3,000 brands, 3,267 brands. And we don't want to necessarily focus on the monthly revenue that is just huge, because there really is more money in the niches. So we're going to look down further into this list into areas where there is less competition. So as noted earlier, I reduced the opportunity score down to 3, and I had a larger number of Amazon sellers relative to the number of actual FBA sellers to detect an opportunity where the network is being underutilized. And the system gave me these results, okay? And you can see that some of these are very highly sought out items. Like this one item here sells $116,000 per month, and so on and so forth. Now, I'm going to avoid the book category for the time being, because I just want to focus on physical goods that aren't going to be necessarily subject to universities starting up or and whatnot. So I'll just scroll right down and see what else comes up. So first thing I'm looking at right here is something called Magic Corner. It's a brand name under toys and games. It seems to be a card game, so we know it's small. The average price is $70, and it's selling $2,500 a month. So not bad. And we can see that there's only 2 FBA sellers on it. The brand score is terrible. So let's take a deeper look into Magic Corner and see what's going on with them. So if I just hit one of these attributes here, I can see the dashboard and take a deeper look at the brand. So this particular item, again, has a brand score of 2.7. There's 8 sellers and only 2 FBA sellers on it. Here's the product itself. It's called Magic Corners, War of the Spark Planes. So it's apparently just a card game of some kind. We can see, we can click on the products tab and see what else they have got listed under this, but everything's been filtered out. We can get into a deeper look at their other products, by just diving into the actual listing itself. So if I clicked here, it would take me to Amazon itself. And I'd be able to see what other products are in this brand if I just clicked on the brand right here, which is called Magic Corner. This actually might be an issue. This might be a compliance thing. Maybe this isn't listed correctly. I'd have to take a look at it in more detail. But if we were just to look at the raw data and just looked at the number of sellers that are selling this, these are the current sellers that are selling it. Poggers is doing about $2,200 a month off of this one item. Imagine if you had 100 items like this, you'd be at $200,000 a month. And it just took us a few seconds to find this one. If we went into subcategories, we could see what subcategory this sits in. This is 0.1% of the collectible card game category. So you could build an entire business just out of collectible card games if you just picked up a series of products, say 100 different products within this category. We can see who the suppliers are by clicking here. In this case, Smartscout doesn't have a supplier that they're able to direct us to, but again, you can find this out by just looking at the back of the product, and you can see who it's distributed by, who it's sold by. You can do some research on Google. Not really that difficult to do. I'll do a quick demo on how to find suppliers in just a moment. Amazing. So now that we filtered out all of the stuff and we're making sure that the Amazon has a really low in-stock rate, that there's a lot of FBM sellers relative to the number of FBA sellers, that the brand score is terrible, that there's some revenue behind it, we've narrowed it down and found a list of products. And here's the first list. And you can see that most of these products are irrelevant because the revenue just isn't there to support an interest in doing this. However, there are 2 products that I'm going to take a look at right now. The first sells approximately 420 items and it has an estimated monthly revenue of $8,500, average sale price of $20.31. And I'm just going to click it and check it out. So the first thing is Rich Health. I'm going to check the dashboard. I'm going to see that it sells $8,500. All of this stuff is here. Again, that proportion of sellers is here. We can see the product itself right here on the Amazon catalog. And we can see if we were to click on it, we can go right in and use our typical tools. You can see that the opportunity score for this item is quite terrible. There's only one photo in it. The listing itself doesn't have any description. Like there's nothing about this item. What about this item? It just says Rich Health. So, I mean, think about this. You go to the brand with this information. You show the brand that, hey, your Amazon listing is terrible. You could be getting 10 times more sales. You're not getting it. People aren't finding your item because they don't, it's not optimized for search. There's no keywords. There's nothing in there. If you were to take ownership of this listing, you'd be able to get way more sales, and you can put your money where your mouth is and place the orders to back it. You know, imagine running a small PPC campaign on it just to get it more visible with the right keywords. See, this is how we're starting to drive that wedge that we were talking about. Imagine taking a photo of a pet and showing the pet looking happy after they're being treated. Lifestyle photo. There's only one image here. So this is why this has such a bad opportunity score. And you could improve it. And look, it gets consistent sales, right? It's sold for as high as $22. It's sold for as high as $24, right? And it gets hundreds of sales a month. This is at least 200 units sold every month. There's not a lot of competition on it, and I'm sure these sellers would like to keep it that way, but that's what we're about. We're going to show you how to find this item for a lower price so that you can sell it on Amazon for a higher price. And once you're able to drive that wedge and work your way into the supplier by using these type of strategies, remember, you're just creating a narrative here, and you're using data to back your narrative. People love data. People love to see reports. They love to see how their brand is performing relative to everybody else. Who else is selling their brand? And anything that you can do to demonstrate that you can drive more sales is going to help you in that conversation. So if we go into here and we check out the sellers, we can see that there are 2 sellers selling this item right now. Okay? And they're splitting the buy box almost 50-50. You could easily steal this product from them. I'm going to click on suppliers. Sometimes Smartscout will actually give you the supplier that actually has this. In this case, it didn't, but a simple Google search, folks, a simple Google search gave us this. It found us the actual place where you can buy it retail, not even going into full wholesale distribution or brand direct. You can just go and buy it at Petco, folks, and it costs $5.49. We know it sells 400 units a month, so you could buy 400 of them and put these other folks out of business, quite literally. And this is just one item that we found. The first item that we looked for using this method was successful. Now, what are we going to do next? It's really quite simple. We could buy this retail, take a bunch of market share from those 2 competitors, eventually bore them out of the listing, have a more creative repricing technique, and those are all the things that we cover inside of the reseller engine. We can take a listing and take ownership of it and control it and make adjustments to it in order to grow sales and eventually get rid of competition. These are the things that we show you how to do in a lot of detail, but for now, I'm going to show you how to find this product wholesale. So what is the secret to find this type of brand so that you can buy it from a wholesaler? There is no secret. It's a simple Google search, folks. That's it. That's all you got to do. I'm just going to Google the name of the brand. I'm going to Google the name of the product, and boom, here we go. Reptile Supply Wholesale. First company that I looked at. This is selling for $6.99 if you just buy one, or it's selling for $5.49 a piece if you buy 24 units. I know it's a wholesaler because you can't just buy it unless you actually log in to their website. So there's a sign-in page. You have to be an actual customer. You can contact these folks. You can have an order history with them. There's a phone number right here. They're located in Texas. And there is an email right here. You can just connect with them directly and you can start selling this product. Not a lot to it. Now you just got to go through their other listings and see what other things this company is selling. And we can use Smartscout to check that, but that'll be the subject of a different video. So in a different video, I'm going to get deep into how we would go into a wholesaler like this, find a variety of different brands, and then use Smartscout in order to determine if that product is worth buying so that you can sell it on Amazon at a profit. But really, it is this simple, folks. Google search, couple phone calls, couple of emails, some follow-up calls, create an account. Really basic. I'll do a video on the template that I use to secure wholesale accounts, but it's really quite simple. All I'm doing is introducing myself. I'm keeping it short. I'm telling them that I like a few of their products. I tell them what order size I'd like to place, and then I tell them that I'd like to open up a wholesale account. It really is that simple. Then a couple of follow-up calls, and that's it. I just make a connection with the sales rep. I make sure that they're meeting their objectives. I do my best to build a strong connection with the sales rep so that they know exactly who I am and how I can help them solve a lot of their problems. The next stage in the evolution of securing this brand entirely for myself to sell on Amazon is to demonstrate how much value I can bring by fixing the listing. I've mentioned a few chronic problems that I found with the listing itself, and I'm going to go over those right now. Please take notes. This will be very helpful when you're analyzing listings and when you're taking information to the wholesaler, brand, or distributor. The first thing, the images. There aren't enough of them here. You should really have at least 5, maybe more, including a lifestyle photo. And it's a really low investment. You can use the Amazon Seller app on your phone to be able to take pictures on a white backdrop, and you can get rid of the background and have a perfect picture for an Amazon listing, and Amazon will tell you whether or not it's good enough to post on the listing. The next thing you want to do is make some changes to the listing. Now, some listings are locked down hard, but the majority of them are not. The problem that people have is they try to make an adjustment to a listing or try to edit the listing, and they give up after the first try because the listing doesn't stick. But it's really quite easy to make a change and eventually increase your rights to contribute to the listing within the Amazon catalog. See, Amazon has something called contribution rights, and when you're just reselling, you really have really low status in that architecture. And that means that you don't get to have a lot of the changes that you suggest happen. However, if you open a case and you submit evidence to show that your suggested changes are actually valid or actually follow the manufacturer's website or follow the manufacturer's catalog, then you have a very high chance of affecting that listing. And once you have an impact on that listing once, your contribution score is going to grow. And guess what? It's going to grow above and beyond what other people are doing on the listing. So that means that your next change will very likely stick very quickly. So the next change that you make, you can add more photos, you can add more information about the listing. And by doing this, you start getting control of the listing, and that gives you power, because the more sales that you can get, the better for you, because then you can go back to the sales rep and show them the before and the after, and then you can tell them that you have higher contribution rights than the other sellers on the listing, which means that you get to make the changes that will stick in the Amazon catalog. And then you start adding information to help you build that relationship and drive that wedge between you and the other people that were managing the listing beforehand. So first thing we're going to do, improve the photos. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a description, and we're going to use properly optimized search term words that will help buyers actually find this listing. Right now, people that are finding this listing are finding it because they know the brand name and they know exactly what they're looking for. They're looking for quick stop styptic powder. Who knows about this stuff, right? Like, if you bought keywords such as like bleeding pets or bleeding dogs or healing hurt animals or something like that, a lot more people would be able to find this listing and you would get way more sales. So this could actually be a 2,000 unit a month item, but right now it's currently being split between 2 sellers at 100 units a piece, right? And that's what we want to do. We want to be able to drive a wedge, again, to help you build your presence with the brand. Eventually that brand will see how much value you're adding to their business and will give you that exclusivity. You just can't forget to ask. You have to work that relationship with that sales rep. Every big company is going to have a territory manager, a country manager. You work your way up the channels. You help them by buying the products that they need you to buy in order to secure their objectives, and they're going to reward you by giving you more and more exclusivity on the listing. The ultimate win is to get absolute brand control through brand registry and obtain a transparency code that only you can secure. That way, nobody else can buy and sell this item. If somebody tried to buy it at a Walmart or a Kmart or a PetSmart, it wouldn't even matter. They would send it into Amazon. It wouldn't get accepted. It might get destroyed. Only you can sell those products. And it's by getting this type of exclusivity that you absolutely kill it on Amazon, because you can start selling products with no competition. Imagine building a portfolio of 10 or 20 or even 30 of these items where no one can compete against you, where you're selling hundreds of units a month of each. That's thousands of units sold. Even if you're making a $5 or $6 profit, if you're selling 10,000 units, that's $60,000 a month in profit. And that's the scalability of Amazon, and that's how you have to see it. Don't forget to check out the description below. There's a link to Smartscout and also a coupon code that you can use to get a significant discount on this amazing tool every month you use it. Drop any questions or any comments that you have in the comment section below, and I'll be happy to help you out any way I can and also create other videos based on your requests. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you on the next one.